Mm. Well, hello, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Man, God, let me say happy Father's Day to everybody out there. Um, Today was a great Father's Day for me, and I got back home, and my kids surprised me because I've been working on the red brick house. I got here, the kids had started making a whole barbecue. And had some great corn on the cob and burgers and hot dogs and potato salad and everything else. And it was a great evening. Shout out to my kids. Um, I heard from one of my other kids, my kid from another mother, Philly 500. He sent me a text message that said, "Happy Father's Day, Dad," and stuff. And it was really nice to recognize, be recognized by one of your other kids that you own them. We own them. But I'm kind of disappointed though. In Rio, I ain't heard from Rio. Ain't heard from Rio. Ain't heard from Kyle Pizzle. You forget Dad? How could you forget Dad? Thought I brought him up better than that, but it is what it is. Um, Not a lot going on for the Cowboys right now. Again, it's Father's Day, and I didn't realize that this is, what? We don't need to talk about football every single time. I'm just going to let it flow. Let me say again to my kids how much I appreciate you guys coming through and spending the day with me. Shout out to Miss Anita, who ended up sending me a Cowboys apron and Cowboys chef hat and things. Definitely going to put that to great use. Shout out to all of the fathers that are out there and things. I hope you got a chance to spend time with your kids and such. When I got home, I was tired, and I didn't realize it, because the thing about me is I can go and go and go until I stop. Once I stop, that's when I fall out. And yes, my man, Game Time and Prime Time and stuff, they saw me just driving through the night, literally. No sleep. You can ask E2 Blue when we found out we screwed up and didn't, or I screwed up and didn't get my plane tickets right, and was like, we're not missing the game with the Giants. And we literally drove to Dallas, leaving at 1 o'clock in the morning. I could go and go. And that's how I've been going with this red brick house, because I want to get it done. Well, it may never be completely done, but get it done to where I can get the inspections done and occupancy for it. So that way I have my studio down there and I'm ready for football season, and I can be ready to go to like training camp. That's the thing. I got to get it done so I can go to training camp. And last night we were there till 11:30 working. Started out at 7:30 in the morning. So that's a long ass day. Drove back home and had dinner with the kids, and Mike got me some fish for the fish pond, and we were down there with the fish, and I was laying there on the little dock, feeding the fish and looking at the new ones and everything else, and got two of the worst cramps in my hamstrings. It was like somebody shot me in the back of the leg. It was like, oh my God. And it about killed me. Got up and, with the kids and stuff, and went into the house and things. And my daughter Michaela was like, earlier she was like, we should go for a walk. She's like, boy, Dad, if you didn't want to go for the walk, you didn't have to get the cramps. I was like, honey, I didn't want to get the cramps. But laid down on the sofa and fell out for about 3 hours. I just gone, and I just woke back up. I was just out and didn't realize how exhausted I actually was. But I think that's what my body needed. So a couple of days ago, Clarence Hill was commenting about how many black fans that the Dallas Cowboys have, and why the Cowboys have fans all over the place. And on this Father's Day, this is a great time to go ahead and give you the story. A lot of you guys have heard my story before, but if you haven't, I live in Northern Virginia. I was born and raised in Northern Virginia. The Commanders practice out in Ashburn, about 8 miles from where my mother grew up. They play, of course, in FedEx Field. Before that, they played at RFK. And growing up, when I went to school, their defensive coordinator, Richie Pettibone, his son Richie was a linebacker on our football team, one of my teammates. His daughter was a cheerleader. Joe Gibbs' son, J.D. Gibbs, was the crosstown rivals quarterback. My brother, Arando, hit Dyron Talbert's wife's car, okay, as an accident. So I was all around the Washington Commanders. And see, actually it was Redskins back then. And this is back when they were good, growing up. This is during the 80s. I was in high school when they were winning Super Bowls. And it was hard being a Dallas Cowboy fan. But the reason why I am a Dallas Cowboy fan is because of my dad. And one of the reasons you could say is, as Clarence Hill was talking about, in fact, in Washington, D.C., there was a lot of black Dallas Cowboy fans, even though Washington was the home team. And the reason being was Preston Marshall, who was their owner. The Washington Commanders were the very last team to integrate and basically had to get a court order. It was in the 60s before they actually had any black players, even though the NFL started integrating in 1948. You know, back when the Eagles were winning world championships. Pause. And so the two reasons why my dad liked the Dallas Cowboys was, one, they didn't integrate. It's like, how can I root for a team that, of course, is not allowing people like us to be on their team? True story. And you have to think about back in 1960 when the Dallas Cowboys became a franchise. Here in this state of Virginia, the love case had not been heard. Interracial marriage was illegal where I'm sitting at right now when I was a child. Yes, I'm that old. The second reason was my dad loved Bob Bullet Hayes, the speedster. And as a kid growing up, there was no ESPN or FS1 and things. It was hard to get news on your teams. But my dad, like many black men in the Washington, D.C. area, rooted for the Dallas Cowboys. And as a little kid growing up, two of the most vivid memories I always have of growing up were sitting on the couch and looking up to my dad on Sundays and listening to him cheer on the Dallas Cowboys. I didn't know as a 2-3-year-old what the Dallas Cowboys were. All I knew was the man I idolized right there loved the Cowboys. So I loved the Cowboys. Now keep in mind, this is before the Cowboys ever won a Super Bowl. So if you want to say I'm a bandwagon fan, we're talking about the late 60s. I don't remember the game. I remember my dad being more dejected when the Cowboys lost to the Colts. I do remember when the Cowboys got that first Super Bowl victory. I still have a button in there that my dad had, and this is back when it was hard to get merchandise back there. It's not like now. The score is actually wrong on the button. It's off by 1 point. It's in my cabinet in there. My dad had the Dallas Cowboys Connection newspaper that used to always come on Fridays. He had, I remember, and I have it in my cabinet there, their 25th anniversary bottle of Pepsi, unopened, in my cabinet. And I got all that from my dad. The second memory growing up as a little kid was my dad had this red convertible. I don't know what, I can't remember what kind of car it was, but it was red and had, of course, the whale fins on the back. And everywhere my dad would go, my dad worked at the post office, but he worked the evening shifts. But everywhere my dad would go, I remember being in that car with my dad. Until I made one bad mistake. That mistake was being on the front porch when it was time for my dad to go to work and crying, I want to go with Dad. I want to go with Dad. I want to go. And that was the end of me riding. My dad didn't put up with that, baby. No. You think you're going to be in the store crying for some candy? Oh, hell no. Hell no. Oh, you going to sit on this porch and cry because I got to go to work? Oh, hell no. And that was the end of me riding in the car. So many incredible memories. Going camping. The Point Lookout. Chicken neck. Piece of string. Throw it out in the water. Not the beach, because the campsites went up to the water. And slowly pulling it back in. And there's the crab. Scoop that sucker up, boom. Put it in the basket. Yeah. I've been blessed to have some great parents. We weren't wealthy. They worked hard and they did everything for us kids. And I love my parents. I've been so blessed. And I'm blessed with great kids. So that, in fact, friends, even during the Washington Commanders' golden era, being there all around the Commanders, when they were great and the Dallas Cowboys were stumbling, it'd been real easy to cross over to be a Commanders fan. Never happened. Never would happen. Win, lose, or draw, doesn't matter who the players are, who the owner is. None of that matters. What matters is that star and wanted to be like my dad. And that's why I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. I appreciate you guys. Phew. There's always so much work to do. And just never can seem to get it all done. Hope you guys had a great Father's Day. Remember to tell the people you love them. Because you might not get the chance again. I love you guys. Tomorrow's another day. Get back to work. God willing, I'll see you there. And thank you, everybody, for all the Father's Day wishes.